This video is going to be a response to KidBrotherIsWatching's video called Everything We Despise Rolled into One Package. Link in the description box. First of all, I want to say, KidBrotherIsWatching, you will get no argument from me as to what caliber of woman this is. She is a stank attitude bitch, and she is the perfect example of the type of woman I can't stand. What I don't understand is your sympathy for the man and how you appear to hold him blameless. Let's look at the first comment that you put on your video. Okay, so your first comment is, Judge just described a very typical vindictive ploy implemented by mothers against fathers and which is supported by radical feminists. Now, if you want to know what he's responding to when he puts these comments up, you want to watch the video, but I'll assume he's talking about child support. Child support is supported by U.S. law, and this woman can be the biggest bitch she wants to be, but she wouldn't be able to stick him for child support if the law were not in place. The next thing is that you talk about something that quote-unquote mothers use against fathers, as if you just wake up one day and you're a father. You actually have to do something to become a father. It is difficult to rape a man, especially forcibly. But all that doesn't really matter in this case because this guy is not saying he was raped. He willingly squirted his semen into her. And according to U.S. law, that constitutes choosing to be a father. But anyway, let me go back to the woman for a moment. I have a picture of her on the screen. Just look at her for a moment. Look at her. Also, click the link in the description box and watch a little clip of her just standing there. Not even saying anything, just watch her standing. Now, I don't know about you, but in the same way I can look at certain black guys and tell that if I speak to them they're going to harass me, I can look at her and tell she is a bitch. I wouldn't even need to speak to her. Just the way she moves, her mannerisms, the expression on her face, I can tell. Another way I can tell she's a bitch is that she's in court disrespecting the judge. See, when you go to court, you're supposed to try to impress the judge so they can rule in your favor, but this woman is totally disrespecting Judge Judy, talking all over her and sassing her with her body language. But besides that, even if Judge Judy weren't a judge, she just met Judge Judy, so she shouldn't have any beef with her. Yet she still treats her with no respect. Now, I've heard some MRAs say that, well, what if you meet a woman and she's nice when you first meet her and then once you get her pregnant she switches up? Okay, that is a good point, but this woman does not apply. She was a bitch when he met her. Anybody who can't respect a judge and can't respect somebody that they just met is a bitch. I don't believe for 1 second that this woman knew how to act when he met her and all of a sudden she started acting all out of character and started becoming a bitch. No, she was a bitch to begin with. Let me tell you what happened. He was thinking with his little head, and he didn't take the proper time to get to know her before he squirted his semen into her. I'd almost be willing to bet money that he boned her within the first 2 weeks of meeting her, probably without a condom. Now tell me how that makes him blameless, because a stupid bitch is a stupid bitch. They're not going to change. You don't have to make a baby with them and give them the ammo they need to be able to use the U.S. laws against you. He is a victim of himself, not her, because she did not steal his semen. Now perhaps he's a victim of a law, but that's a different story. So women can't use laws against men unless the men give the women their semen. And the interesting thing about this is that men seem to have a double standard about this situation, because if it was reversed, if it was a woman who was a good mother and the man who was a lowlife, you would still blame the woman, saying she should have picked a better man. He should have picked a better woman, and you know why I say he? Because he's the one complaining. She's not complaining. She has what she wants. She's perfectly happy with this setup. He's the one complaining, so he's the one that made the mistake. If he didn't get what he wanted out of the situation, he made the mistake. Same thing goes for black women. If you're finding yourself constantly having to complain about your baby daddy, then obviously you made a mistake. You let the wrong dude fertilize your egg. But anyway, the woman, she didn't pick the wrong dude. She got a nice stable guy to get a check off every month. The guy's the one that got screwed, so he's the one that made the mistake. But anyway, kid brother, I'm just curious to know why you have sympathy for men in this situation but not women. Here's a man who chose a bad woman, but you still have sympathy for him, but let a female get pregnant by a guy that wasn't all that great, and you have no sympathy for her whatsoever. That's a double standard. It seems like you would either have sympathy for both of them or neither of them. But the rule seems to be for men that if a woman chooses a bad man, it's the woman's fault. If a man chooses a bad woman, it's still the woman's fault. But anyway, let's move on to some of your other comments. Then next you say, now witness what far too many of our black women have become and are becoming, and why more and more black men are rejecting black women in favor of women of other races. To exclude black women from your dating pool based on behavior is to say that all black women are alike. When we ask you point blank, are you saying all black women? You say, no, not all black women. They're just the majority. But your actions say all. If you exclude black women from your dating pool, you are saying all black women are alike. Moving along to your next comment. Judge Judy asked the man how old his daughter is, and he says that she's 9. And then you left the comment, which means this woman is not some clueless teenager. She is a grown woman well into her mid-20s at least. That really doesn't make a difference one way or the other because, again, he picked her. She didn't pick a bad man, he picked a bad woman. So it's all his fault entirely. Moving along, when the woman said that the man filed for sole custody, you left this comment. Rarely do fathers ask for full custody unless the mother is a bad parent or bad influence on the child. Then don't give bitches with poor character your semen. Not only is he suffering for that, but his child is suffering for that. Moving along, the woman accuses the man of wanting full custody because she says he doesn't want to pay child support. And you left this comment. There it is, every bad mother's ace card, where she both reveals her true motivation, parentheses, greed and vindictiveness, close parentheses, and plays the cheated victim at the same time. If you're implying by that statement that the man is the victim, no. The only victim in that situation is the child. If the man were to be a victim, he is a victim of his own stupidity and a victim of the law. Because without that law, this woman could not stick him for child support and disrupt his life the way she has. Next comment, the guy talks about how he had joint custody of his daughter, and you left this comment. Every other weekend is considered joint custody. If the rules were reversed, feminists would be screeching a firestorm at such an arrangement. No argument with you on that. The next comment you posted was after the woman interrupted Judge Judy and Judge Judy kind of went off on her. And you wrote, if someone had checked Little Miss Drama Queen more often, like Judge Judy just did, she probably would not have become such an insufferable bitch. I agree with that too, but that also proves my point. If nobody checked her, and I guess you mean her mother, then that means she grew up with that attitude and she was like that when he met her. If he had just waited 2 months before getting sexually active with her, or at least done it with a condom, he would have been able to figure out that she was a bitch before making her pregnant. But if you're going to jump in bed with somebody within a few days or a couple of weeks of meeting them, get her pregnant, and then complain later, well, I didn't know she was a bitch, I got no sympathy for you. You should have put the work in and got to know her first before you went squirting your semen into her. You know what happens when you squirt semen into a woman. You know. That is your signature consenting to be a father according to U.S. law. Since squirting your semen equals consenting to be a father, you better be damn careful who you squirt your semen into. You better take a little bit longer than a couple of weeks to get to know somebody. If a woman will let you do her raw and you met each other less than a month before, that ought to let you know something right there. Moving on, Judge Judy asked the woman why she has 2 other children by a man who she's not in a relationship with, and the woman bluntly responds, well, that's not what we're here for. That's not the reason we came to court. Your comment on that was, in other words, bitch, stop asking me all of these questions on my character, about my character. Character questions is what homeboy should have been asking her before he squirted his semen into her. Next comment, Judge Judy asked the woman more questions about why she's not with her other children's father, and you wrote this. Is that a surprise, Judge? Who would want to put up with such shrillness every single dog damn day? I'm assuming you meant goddamned. But anyway, again, if this woman was so shrill, why would you impregnate her? Not you, but this other guy. He may be able to leave the woman and not deal with her shrillness, but he's left his child to have to deal with it. How's that being a good father? Being a good father is not just about supporting your child and being there and raising them after they're born. Being a good father is also choosing a good woman to be a mother to them. And another thing, going back to the point that I made earlier on in the video about being able to tell this woman is a bitch very quickly, Judge Judy says several times throughout the proceedings, I know who you are. In other words, I know what kind of person you are. I got you figured out. If Judge Judy can figure out this woman in less than 10 minutes the way I did, you gonna tell me this guy couldn't figure out she was a bitch before he impregnated her? Come on. Next comment, confirmation. It's all about money and vindictiveness. Again, she couldn't have done any of this stuff to him without his semen. Now I could go through your last few comments, but I would just be saying the same thing over again, so I'll just cut it off there. But anyway, to sum everything up, many of these cases that MRAs support are not these innocent victims like they're made out to be. Now there are some innocent victims out there. I've heard some horrendous miscarriages of justice. For example, the doctor who got a blowjob from the other doctor and she took his sperm and inserted it, that's bullshit. Also, I've heard stories of males who were statutorily raped like they were 16 or something, and a grown woman will have sex with them and get pregnant, and as soon as that kid comes of age, she can hit him for child support. That's bullshit. But any man who is of age who willingly puts his penis in a woman's vagina and ejaculates, how can you say he's innocent? This guy in this show is not innocent. He picked an idiot to impregnate. and if he'd taken his time before he took his junk out of his pants, he would have saved himself and his child a lot of heartache.